It's my DVD and Blu-ray update for February 2025, Part 2. Hi everybody, and welcome to Part 2 of my DVD and Blu-ray update for February 2025. So I explained Part 1 how this is built up again. I'm just going to crack straight on. So the next in the pile is this mammoth Arrow box set for the Battle Royale films. I've just heard so much good stuff about these that... So I've just had a collapse next to me. I've been dithering about getting them for ages, and it was really cheap in one of their sales, so I nabbed it. So these are sort of a precursor to things like the Hunger Games and Squid Games and any, you know, these things where a bunch of people are fighting for survival, basically in a game against themselves. Really extensive package this, so it's got the original theatrical version and a director's cut of Battle Royale, the original theatrical version and director's cut of Battle Royale 2, which interestingly the theatrical version is called Requiem, but the director's cut is called Revenge. Then it's got the soundtrack, then it's got a pack of trump cards and a massive book. So on both of them I watched the director's cut only, I haven't watched the theatrical cuts. But this is the theatrical version of Battle Royale, which comes with a big booklet, as usual for Arrow. Then we have, and they're all sort of dedicated to various characters. Then we have the director's cut, which has got a poster. Inside, Battle Royale was absolutely fantastic. 5-star film. Can't really fault it. Absolutely brilliant. Wonderful, amazing film. So yeah, it's basically it's near future, and laws have changed, and various school classes get put into this Battle Royale where they fight for life, and it's all televised and what have you. And it's about one of those. Battle Royale 2, the theatrical version, and the director's cut. So the original director and writer of Battle Royale died. I think it was just as they were starting filming Battle Royale 2, so his son took over and finished it. It's nowhere near as good. It's set after the first one, and the survivors of that have become rebels, if you like, who are trying to overthrow the government, etc. And it's sort of them against the authorities, and it doesn't feel like it's sort of the same type of film even. It's, very disappointing, nowhere near as good. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but compared to the original, it was a big letdown. This is the soundtrack CD, which was very enjoyable. There's some good stuff on there. And then, you've got a little box, which is a bugger to get in and out of, so I'm not going to bother. But it's got a load of trump cards in it, and then a hardback book. Again, there's loads of stuff about various films. There's only 2 of them about the films. And their reception and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so even though the second film was a letdown, I think if you want to buy Battle Royale, especially for sort of price this costs nowadays, you might as well get the whole thing because it's such a nice package. This is the Austin Powers collection. 25th anniversary release of the 3 Austin Powers films, which I absolutely adore. Got them all on DVD, but it's nice to finally get them on Blu-ray. And it was lovely revisiting them, not having seen them for years. They're still just as funny. Yeah, absolutely adore all 3 of these films. I know some people aren't so keen, particularly on Gold Member, but I like it just as much as the other 2. So I did do an unboxing for this back when it was released. It might have been an HMV exclusive, but I might be wrong there. It's so long. But yeah, nice little booklet. Mainly pictures. In fact, it might all be pictures. And then a little package with various bits of ephemera in it. There's a poster. Of the original film. There's a Austin Powers business card. Oops. And then some art cards of Austin and the 3 female leads from the 3 films. Yeah, really enjoyed revisiting them. A nice release. Not much in the way of extras on the first film. I seem to remember there being more on the DVDs I've got of the US releases. And I seem to remember there being more. Now, whether this is a port of a UK release which didn't have as many, I'm not sure. Or I might just be misremembering because there's so many on 2 and 3. And I'm, sort of getting confused because of that. This was another gift from Craig Huntley, my good friend. This is Return to Oz, which I'm really happy to have. I loved this film as a kid. Didn't see it for years and years and years and years. Obviously rewatched it recently and still love it. It's a lot darker than Wizard of Oz. A lot darker than Wizard of Oz. But it's Dorothy returns to Oz and everything's changed and she tries to put things right, basically. But yeah, no songs or anything like that. It's just a straight drama, for want of a better phrase. But yeah, I really love Return to Oz. This is the complete first season of V. So this is the reboot of it that was done in the early noughties. Yeah, well, 2009, so that's early-ish, isn't it? Well, it's not early noughties, but it's early 2000s. You know what I mean? Earlier this century. I prefer the original V. I think I saw a couple of episodes, but I was a bit young and I never watched it in any detail, if you like. But yeah, this was started off really well. The first few episodes are fantastic. It gets a bit stuck from then on and then picks up again at the end, which is very often the case with TV series where there's a proper ongoing story. It's 12 episodes. I would say probably 5 of them are really good and the rest are just average, but acting's good. Yeah, definitely enjoyed enough that I want to see the second season. In here is most of season 1 of The Outer Limits. Again, this came from Craig. So one disc is missing, which was disc 3, which contains episodes 7 to 12. No, 9 to 12, rather. But obviously the rest are there. Again, it's an anthology series, so as you would expect, some are really good, some less good. I think some are in this pile. I don't think I've already shown it. He also sent me one of the compilation releases from The Outer Limits, which yeah, it must be a missed pile because wasn't long before I watched this, but I watched that. Quite a few of these episodes are on that, so I sort of skipped those when I didn't rewatch them. There's also some episodes that I have on a previous Outer Limits compilation as well, but I did rewatch those because I haven't watched those for a number of years. But yeah, some of them really good, some of them less so. They sort of tie up the series at the end with reference back to previous episodes, which is a nice way of doing it. But overall, good. Marvel released Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Again, a film I've heard mixed things about, but I really enjoyed it. You know, I love Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. So, not having seen any of the Marvel TV series, I wasn't fully aware of Black Widow's story arc, but I just sort of knew enough that this still made sense, and they sort of explained well enough that you didn't need to have seen it for it, you know, not having seen it didn't spoil the film. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed it. One of Marvel's better recent releases, in my opinion. Harrison Ford 5 film collection. Basically, I picked this up because I wanted The Fugitive on Blu-ray, because I love that film. I have it on DVD, but I wanted it on Blu-ray. And this was cheaper, this 5 film collection, than a copy of The Fugitive on its own. It was something like $11.99 or something stupid like that on Amazon. So, apart from A Fugitive, which is just an amazing, fantastic film that I absolutely adore, it contains Frantic, which I had seen before many years ago. So that's a Roman Polanski film where Ford plays a surgeon who's in Paris to give a talk, but his wife goes missing, and basically he's trying to track her down. And it's the story of that, but that is an excellent film as well. Presumed Innocent, which again I'd seen many years ago back on VHS out of a video shop, where Ford is a prosecutor who's accused of murdering one of his colleagues who he had an affair with. Which again, another excellent film. And then two that I hadn't seen, Firewall, where Ford plays a IT expert in a bank whose family is kidnapped, well, they're in their own home, but, you know, held for ransom for him to help this team of crooks rob from a bank. Again, really good. And then 42, which was the one I've sort of appealed least from a description. So it's about Jackie Robinson, who was the first black baseball player to play in the Major League, and Harrison Ford plays the boss of the team that he played for, which Brooklyn Dodgers. It was fantastic. I really loved it. Chadwick Boseman played Jackie Robinson, but I mean, you know, it's your typical sporting drama, and obviously it's based on a real story, so it was predictable, but it was just so well done and so well acted that it was just, yeah, fantastic film. Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Loved the first Fantastic Beasts film. I liked the second one, you know, a fair bit, but it sort of lacked that little something special that the first one had. This is a little better. I mean, God forbid you should watch this not having seen the first two, because it wouldn't make any sense to you whatsoever. And it never explains the fact that Grindelwald has changed face again. But it's nicely done. Sort of wraps up the story arc nicely. I know they wanted to do more, but that's almost certainly not going to happen for various reasons. But yeah, enjoyable. Not peak Wizarding World, but enjoyable. Pixar's Lightyear. So this is a story about the real life person who inspired the toy line, basically. So this is Buzz Lightyear as a real person, and him who was a space ranger, and he gets stuck on a planet basically that he needs to escape from, and it's the story of that. I really enjoyed it. Once you get over the fact that Chris Evans is voicing Buzz Lightyear, you in your head you're expecting Tim Allen's voice to come out of his mouth, even though he's not the toy. But yeah, really well done. Plot wise, maybe a bit trying to be a bit too clever, but yeah, typical Pixar. Hits you in the feels a few times, makes you laugh a lot, looks great. Speaking of looking great, this is Bowie, Moon Age Daydream. So this is a documentary about the life of David Bowie, basically, but it's all very stylistic and artily done. But it works, largely because it's about Bowie, who was a very visual artist. It sort of skims over the latter part of his life, unfortunately. It could have done with being longer and covering more of his life. It sort of concentrates largely on the 70s and early 80s. But yeah, lots of interesting footage. And as I say, looks fantastic and sounds great as well. Thor Love and Thunder. Again, after Ragnarok, which was so great, there was a lot of anticipation for this because Taika Waititi, is that right? Waititi? I think so. Anyway, he was back. Definitely better than Dark World. Not as good as Ragnarok, but still very enjoyable. I'm sure most of you who are interested have already seen this. Yeah, so this is the aforementioned Outer Limits compilation, Aliens Among Us collection. So most of these are from Series 1. I think a couple are from Series 2. I might be remembering that incorrectly. They might all have been on Series 1. But yeah, again, a mixed bag, but some of it was really good. Count Arthur Strong presents himself in And This Is Me, a 20th anniversary tour. So this is the latest. Well, it's not the latest now. There's been another one, which is in my pile. But Count Arthur Strong live DVD. Typical Count Arthur Strong. Saw this live in Winchester and loved every minute of it, and just hilariously funny. Brilliant stuff. This came from Craig, and this is the US Criterion release of Brazil. So I tried to watch Brazil 30 odd years ago, probably even longer than that, and it sort of went above me, and I wanted to watch it because it was Terry Gilliam and I'm a big Python fan, but I think I even gave up on it. It was a rental from a video store. And I've sort of never got round to watching it since, but he said, "Do you want this?" And I said, "Oh, yes, please." It's all a bit... It comes in a nice slipcase, but it's a very fragile slipcase, and over the years it's got a bit battered. But the discs play fine. So it's a 3-disc set. Disc 1 has got the Terry Gilliam's 142-minute final cut of the film. Disc 2 is loads of extras and a couple of long documentaries and what have you. Disc 3 is what's called the Love Conquers All version, which is the 94-minute cut of it that the studio made to try and make it more marketable. I didn't watch that. I just watched Terry Gilliam's version. Yeah, it's a really good film. It is very Gilliam. It is very early Gilliam. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Loads of, British character actors popping up, and you think, oh, it's so-and-so, oh, it's so-and-so, which, briefly takes you out of the film, but in a nice way. But yeah, really enjoyed Brazil. So Go Faster Stripe, who I've talked about before, so they're an independent company who put out releases of less mainstream British comedians. I think they're all British. There might be a couple of foreigners in amongst it. They're mainly British or people who are known for being here. They had a sale on a while back, basically because nobody buys DVDs anymore. They're just trying to clear out some of their stock, and I think these were all like £3 each. So I just picked up any that I didn't have, regardless of who I buy, because at that price, might as well give it a go. So this is Happiness Through Science by Robin Ince. So I like Robin. I've seen him live supporting Ricky Gervais many years ago, and I like him when he's on stuff, and bits of him that I've seen, but I've never sat and watched one of his shows. He's obviously well known now for his work with Professor Brian Cox and their show, The Infinite Monkey Cage, their radio show. So he's sort of the science comedian, if you like. And this is largely, almost entirely about science. It wasn't hilarious. It was funny in parts. I think you need a fairly decent working knowledge of science and science theories or what have you to fully appreciate it, and I didn't have quite enough. I got most of it, but there was bits that sort of went over my head. But by and large, enjoyed it. This is Will Hodgson live on Bonfire Night. So I enjoyed this a lot. Basically, Will is a comedian who looks like he should be the toughest guy in the world. Skinhead, big bushy beard in this one, covered in tattoos. But then if you look at his tattoos, they're like Care Bears and My Little Ponies, and he collects those things. He's straight. I say he. Subsequent to this, they have come out as non-binary. But they are straight. As far as I'm aware, certainly at the time of recording they were. Because, in one that I'm halfway through watching at the moment, they actually mention the fact that they are straight. That's why I'm confident saying that. But a lot of it is about pop culture stuff and comics and all sorts of stuff that I'm interested in. And again, it's not hilarious, laugh out loud funny, but it's amusing, and although he's got quite a reserved style, he's not an extravagant performer. He sort of draws you in somehow, and I enjoyed that quite a lot. Ruby Wax, Say New World. I'm not the biggest Ruby Wax fan in the world. I find her a bit annoying at times. I sort of like her as an actress, but I never used to watch her interview shows and things like that because she's just a bit too much for me. But again, it was £3, so I thought I'd pick it up, and it's an interesting piece. So it's a live show she did basically about mental health, and she's got degrees in this sort of stuff now, and psychology and that sort of stuff, and it's all about mindfulness and mental health and stuff like that. It was interesting. It was funny in parts. What was sort of distracting was that it was a very directed show. It had a proper set, and it was, there were times where she would lie down on this chaise longue type thing, and you couldn't really see any reason for it, and she didn't look particularly comfortable, but it's obviously been decided that that's what would happen at that moment. And that was, I sort of found that a bit distracting watching it, but yeah, it was fine. This is Hey Hey 16K. So this was interesting. It sort of meant nothing to me. Apparently there's a big viral video in 2004 with this song that this guy, MJ Hibbert, wrote about spectrums. And he sort of capitalised on that and turned it into a little comedy musical show about his life. And it's just, it's him and his mate Steve basically perform it, but it's genuinely funny, genuinely entertaining. I enjoyed that quite a lot. A couple more for this one, because these won't take long. These are, the next two anyway, are CD box sets that had DVDs in them, and I've listened to CDs ages ago and talked about those on CD updates, but finally watched DVDs. This is Danny Minogue's Neon Nights. So the DVD has got the 6 official videos plus some Top of the Pops performance and a hits medley at CBBC Junior Great North Run Party. I like Danny, I like this album, although I prefer Girl, her previous album, The videos were all a bit samey. The Top of the Pops performances were quite interesting. They varied quite a bit, and the hits medley was okay, but it wasn't anything. You know, it's not, I'm not going to be watching them again. Let's put it that way. This is the complete Funboy 3. So again, it's CD box set, 5 CDs with all their albums, B-sides, outtakes, remixes, and a live CD. But it's also got DVD, which contains all their promo videos, loads of Top of the Pops performances, and another BBC show called Something, a couple of tracks from that. And then it's got their Earl Grey Whistle Test performance, which is also what the live CD is of. Live in Hitchin in 1983. Yeah, enjoyed this. But videos, there's a couple were really good. A lot of them were just sort of average, run-of-the-mill videos. Top of the Pops performances, again, it was interesting seeing such a... You know, Terry Hall, especially at that time, as a very reserved, monotone performer. But seeing that in the Top of the Pops environment, you know, with all the bright lights and dancing kids and what have you, it was interesting. But the live show was fantastic, really enjoyed that. We have Sea Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, so the 50th anniversary edition of the Bowie gig, film, etc. It's never been my favourite Bowie live performance. However, I sort of appreciated it more after this. It's sort of been cleaned up and remastered, and I always found that the previous releases looked a bit dirty and dingy, but this was less so. It's also the full concert for the first time. There's a couple of tracks that were edited out from previous releases. It's still... something about it just doesn't quite... I don't know if it just too many shots of the audience or something, which takes me out of it. I want to be watching it as if I was there watching the show, not a fly on the wall watching the whole thing, if you see what I mean. I want to be... I like my concert films to almost be from the audience perspective, you know, concentrating on what's on stage. But yeah, still, you know, fantastic and musically superb. And finally, for this part, we have Sexy Beast. This too came from Craig. A film I'd heard so many good things about but had never watched. So when he said, "Do you want it?" I said, "Oh yes, please, definitely." Very good British gangster film. Ray Winstone is a former gangster who retires to Spain, but then he gets roped in for one last job, and sort of things go a bit awry. And again, don't want to spoil too much, but fantastic performances. Really good film. Okay, that was part 2. One more part and then we'll be up to date. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Thanks. Bye.